Welcome to California in Focus. I'm David Mastio. Today we're talking about how cities in California are cracking down on the law-abiding in an effort to fight crime. Joining me today is Kenneth Schrupp, California reporter for the Center Square. Kenneth, thanks for joining me. And tell me what's going on in San Francisco. They're closing businesses?
That's right, David. In the Tenderloin District, which is probably one of the worst humanitarian disasters in the United States, there's drug use, prostitution, open air, reselling of stolen goods as far as the eye can see. The County Board of Supervisors unanimously approved a measure to impose a curfew on businesses in the area over concerns that businesses that are open late at night are hotspots for crime, drug dealing, and drug use. The pictures included by San Francisco Police Department in their assessment understandably show that there is a problem. It might be unfair that these businesses are having to close down and lose out on revenue because the police are unable to do their job and enforce law and order. But if you look at the pictures provided, you see, I am being serious here, there are dozens and dozens of what looks like individuals involved in criminal behavior outside of a deli, which is one of the few lit parts in the area. And you can imagine that even 10 police officers could be overwhelmed by these individuals. You would need dozens of police officers to shut down something like this safely, or the police would be completely overwhelmed. And that's what the police say. They say that people who are engaged in illegal activity outnumber the police, and poses safety risks for officers, as people engaged in illegal activity typically outnumber police officers on patrol.
Have businesses said anything about what they think?
I spoke to a representative of the California branch of the National Federation of Independent Business, which represents small businesses nationwide. And, his sentiment was that instead of enforcing the safety of these problem areas and holding the criminals accountable, city leaders have chosen to penalize and even blame already struggling small business owners for fanning the flame of the city's crime epidemic, end quote. That's what John Kabatek, California director of the National Federation of Independent Business, said to me.
I know this is radio, so we can't keep talking about this picture too much, but I looked at that picture, and the thing I wonder about is whether these businesses can have any business from people who are not criminals. You've got, dozens and dozens of people camped out outside the business. What regular person is going to walk through that gauntlet to get in there and buy a pack of gum? It seems, in a sense, like the only people who would go in there would be the drug dealers and the drug users who are outside the store.
I do agree with your logic. It does seem so unsafe that no normal person would want to walk past the gauntlet of crime and degeneracy that is outside that store. There are dozens and dozens of individuals in hoodies with all sorts of masks covering up their faces, conducting Lord knows what kind of illicit business. The Mayor London Breed's legislation also included some facts that drug dealers and other criminals dive into the stores to avoid the police and get lost in the store while the police go looking for them. So they're using these stores as props to hide from the police as well. It really is a serious problem. So this legislation bans retail food and tobacco establishments from being open between 12 a.m. or midnight and 5 a.m. with $1,000 fines for any business that does not comply for each incidence of noncompliance.
Moving on from San Francisco's crackdown on businesses to the city of Sacramento threatening businesses. Can you tell me about that?
Yes, the city of Sacramento issued a warning to a local Target for calling the police too many times and threatened them with public nuisance charges if they continued to make calls. This report came from the Sacramento Bee, and they said that Target stores in the city of Sacramento placed 375 theft, robbery, and shoplifting calls in 2023. just 175 in 2022 and only 87 in 2021, suggesting that either crime is significantly on the uptick or store managers have decided that enough is enough and they're going to start reporting more crime.
So I just can't understand. There's a silence here on the radio because I just can't understand what would be going through a city attorney's mind when he says, I'm going to charge you with something for reporting to the police. Isn't that what the police are there for?
Remember that a lot of these positions are elected, and if you are a prosecutor and crime is going up because people are reporting more crime, then you look bad. So you can lose your election if it looks like crime is on the uptick because people are deciding to report more of it. So you got to go and get people to report less crime. Now, this warning did lead to an amendment of a crime bill from the Assembly Speaker that would ban retaliation against businesses for reporting retail crime. So if this new crime bill is passed, I mean, it's backed by the Speaker, it's a bipartisan piece of legislation, it's probably going to get passed by the governor, and this isn't going to happen again. But I think there's more interesting stuff going on in Sacramento to talk about. Last year, Sacramento County Sheriff Jim Cooper, who is a former Democratic member of the state assembly, he said that local Target stores had been asking for assistance from his department to help with shoplifting, which they said was mostly from homeless individuals, but that Target corporate told them that they couldn't handcuff or arrest people within the store and would have to work behind the store and out in the rain because Target corporate didn't want to make a scene for people to put on social media that could cause negative press.
Kenneth, thanks for joining us today. Listeners can keep up with this story and more at thecentersquare.com.